Good afternoon. It's another fine cloudy day here in eastern North Carolina. Actually, it's a good thing the clouds went in because it was starting to feel a little too warm, which is kind of funny because a lot of the rest of the country is already starting to feel that fall bite. We were a few days ago, but again, I'm in eastern North Carolina, growing zone 8A, and it's, I think it's supposed to be 68 today. Tomorrow it's supposed to be 72. So it's sort of a peak, and it'll start leveling off again back down to the 60s, mid to low 60s next week. But enough of that. I'm not a weatherman, and I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. Today I'm going to be doing some transplanting, and that's in order so I can build another Birdies bed. Now, I'm not going to show you the building of the Birdies bed today. I will do a video in the near future, maybe from Monday or next week sometime, of me building the bed and showing you tips and tricks. It's not terribly difficult, but again, I'll go through the steps and try to make it a fairly entertaining video as always. Do me a favor, if you like this video, hit that like button. If you didn't like the video, hit the dislike button if they're still around. Do they still have it? I think they still have a dislike button. But hit that like button if you like this video, and I hope you do, and I hope you like all my other videos. Please leave your comments below and hit that subscribe button. And the bell icon so you can be notified when I do post up a new video. You may not be interested in all my videos, you may only be interested in some of the videos, and that's fine. But again, if you hit that bell icon, you'll be notified when I do post up a video, and this way you can then go and make your own decision of whether you want to watch the video or not. If you're wondering where I get this awesome t-shirt, you can go over to growinggreenfinger.com, scroll down to the bottom of the homepage. I believe it's shop or stuff. You can also check out all the links in the description below. And yeah, I'm going to stop rambling now and let me show you what exactly it is I'm doing today. So as I mentioned before, I'm going to do some transplanting, and I have my assistant here. This is Piper. She's my furry niece here. She's my niece's and nephew's puppy. She's like 6, I think. Aren't you, Piper? Sweetest dog. Anyways, so I'm going to be taking, yes, Piper, yes, we're going to be doing work and you're going to get pets. So I'm going to be turning around and transplanting some of these plants. Now, some of these are going to go into the newly prepared front garden bed, and I'll touch base on that when I get there. And others I'm going to put up into pots that I'll keep in the greenhouse over the winter and then plant out next spring once I know where they're going to go. So the premise of this bed, instead of starting seeds in trays and then transplanting them out, because you either have to build a lot of wood trays or you have to turn around and buy a lot of plastic trays. And as we know, plastic is not exactly environmentally friendly. So I decided to turn around and start building some wood trays. But you need to build a lot of wood trays, and those wood trays take up space in your greenhouse or elsewhere. You could probably make better use or prioritize what you want to put in those trays on the benches, because again, I have an 1.5 acres I want to start building out, and I always want to plant and grow more. Well, if I do in-ground seed starting beds, then I can grow the plants on, and then when ready, transplant them. Now, I did start this late this year. There's lots of jets flying around me today. I do apologize for any and all of the noise. I just had 2 jets fly by. Now there's another one flying overhead. It's it's a thing. So I started this bed late, and I do have some flowers growing up, which is great. Now, not everything I planted grew. And again, this was all part of the experiment. What would grow, what wouldn't grow. Again, this was pretty much planted up in the heat of the summer. I did throw a shade cloth. Piper, stop walking through the bed. It's another reason for getting the tall metal beds. So, for instance, the aster, mixed colored asters, they didn't come up. There was something else that didn't come up. Excelsior hybrid foxglove, that didn't come up. Let's see, red skin dahlias didn't come up. But I do have a few of the others. So I'm going to stop talking. We're going to bring the camera in close, and we're going to start pulling these up and moving them on to their new homes. Now, one of the first plants I'm going to pull up here is an Alaska Shasta daisy. That's this. If I'm looking now, it looks like I may have 2 or 3 here and possibly a 4th one there. I think I'm going to plant these out into the new beds, but first I have to dig them up. So I'm carefully going to, and FYI, I'm not a planting expert. I don't pretend to be one. This is just what I'm doing and experimenting with. Feel free to call me out on something that I'm doing wrong in the comments below, or if you think I'm doing something right, or if you have any questions, again, please leave the comments below. So let's see. That actually looks pretty good. Let's see if we can divide this up. I want to be very careful because I want as much of the plants as I can get. They sort of all grew together here. As you can see, I have a good root system. And Piper's walking through my beds again. I don't think, let's see. They all kind of grew together, and I really don't want to take the, careful. I don't want to break anything. I'm going to leave this as is, and we'll call this one. It kind of looks like there might be 3 stems, but I could be wrong, so I'm just going to leave this as is. So that's at least 1. And 2, and these have good root systems. Okay, since I've just pulled these up now and a lot of the roots are exposed, I think it's pretty obvious you don't want the roots to dry out because then the plant to be in trouble. So I'm going to go plant these out right now over in the main flower garden. So let's go do that, and you can come on, follow me along. All right, take these. What I'm going to do is we're just going to make a little space here. Now, I just started these beds. They're not that deep. So what we're going to do, basically going to mound up around the plant. There we go. Firm that in. Make sure you get plenty of oil around that root. All right. Okay, and now the other one. Again, because these are no-dig beds, I just started these beds. The soil isn't all that deep, and I really can't dig down before I hit cardboard that far. Soil right now is only about 1 inch to 2 inches thick in this bed, and that's why I'm going to mound these up a little bit. And then because, again, we will probably get a frost sometime in the next few weeks, I will turn around and mulch over all of the plants that I plant in here. And then that should protect them from the frost. Again, I'm in growing zone 8A. We really don't get hard frosts or deep frosts. So these should be fine. And again, they're Alaska Shasta daisies, so they do prefer the colder weather, I believe. If I'm wrong, leave a comment below. And the next one I'm going to grab and attempt to save or preserve is a larkspur that I have here. And this is Smoky Eyes larkspur. Like all the rest, everything else grown in this bed was all grown from seed. And it's grown pretty well, so it should have a pretty good root base. This plant, though, I'm going to turn around and put into a pot and put into the greenhouse for the winter. Hopefully it survives, and then hopefully in the springtime, once the last frost passes, I can plant it out. So let's see if I can get a nice good root base out of this thing. I've never transplanted larkspur, so I have no idea what to expect here. Oh, okay. Oh, look at that taproot. Huh, that's funny. All right, so let's go plant this up now. That should do. Okay. All right, so I think I found a pot. Looks like it should do, long and deep enough to house the root ball. I do want to put something on the bottom. Okay, I'm just going to put a little piece of paper towel on the bottom because you can see the holes are quite large. I can stick my fingers through them. And I don't want a lot of that soil falling out. But this will still allow the water to drain out. All right. Now I'll give this guy a good water, put him in the greenhouse, and let's move on to the next one. All right, this next one is Ruby Kissed Coreopsis. It looks like I have several plants here, so again, I'm going to try to gently pull them all up, separate them. I don't know if I'm going to put these in the greenhouse or directly in the ground. I'm thinking directly in the ground, but let me start prying this up here. Like this is one plant and a weed. Let's get the weed out of there. That actually looks pretty good. The roots don't seem terribly deep. This might be a couple of plants. Yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, And then last but not least, 4. So let's go plant this out into the flower garden. And now water, of course. And I'm not going to bore you guys with this today, but I'll come back and mulch either later today or tomorrow. And hopefully, if we don't get a freeze in the next few weeks, these plants should have some time, hopefully, to start getting rooted in. And even if the top growth dies back, as long as the roots have rooted in and they're safe and warm, hopefully this will all come back in the springtime. Alrighty, I think the next one's going to be this lupine. Looks like I have 2 of them. Some weeds. Weed out of there. It's got deep roots. Grass. I think I might put these in pots and put them in the greenhouse for the winter. Ooh, that came up nice and easy. That root system looks good. Excellent. And same with this one. There we go. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful root systems. Yeah, this will work perfectly, these pots. Now, I've never done this before, as I stated before. Pretty sure I stated it before. So, if you've done something like this before, please leave a comment below. But yeah, I hope that this works. If I was doing this, if I planted these seeds in the springtime instead of the summertime, and they came up and were looking big like this during the summer, then I would have transplanted them into the ground at that time. But we're into the fall, and I'm not sure about these lupines. I'm not actually sure about any of them, so all this is an experiment. Oh, in case you're wondering, this is a Russell mixed lupine. Hey, look at that, I'm not chopping my head off anymore. So I just put a little soil on the bottom of the pot in case you're wondering how I'm doing this. Pull some of this dead stuff. Also, another thing to mention or to note is my greenhouse will not be heated. I may throw a heater in there if it gets stupid cold, like 10 or 20 degrees, but that rarely happens. And if it does, it's only for maybe an hour or so over in the early morning. Pretty warm where I am here in eastern North Carolina. If it did do that, maybe I'd throw a heater in the greenhouse, but I think they'll be fine. Again, the top growth may die back, but I'm hopeful that if that does happen, which I'm almost guaranteed sure it will, that then the roots are still safe enough and warm enough that it'll start growing back in the springtime. At which point I can turn around and plant all these plants that are potting up out into the landscape. I just dug up these Prairie Sun Rudbeckias, and I did not hit the record button digging them up. But essentially, I have what looks like 3 plants, and this actually may be more than 3 plants. I pulled 2 clumps already off. Maybe I could pull more off of this, but I don't want to take the chance of damaging the roots more. So this whole thing will get planted out into the flower garden, and then I'll come back and we'll dig up the snapdragon. Okay, and the last but not least is this rocket orchid snapdragon. And yeah, this one I'm pretty sure I'm going to pot up and put in the greenhouse. But let's dig up and see what it looks like. It is flowering. I kind of almost hate to disturb it. Nice. Here we go. That's 1 plant. That's 2 plants. And that's 3 plants. Okay, so let me get these into pots, I think. I'm sort of holding it in place so that the plant itself doesn't get buried, but the roots do. And I'm using a potting mix here. This just happened to be Daddy Pete's potting mix. It's a local company. There we go. confirm that in a bit. Okay. All right. Settle that in. Next. So now that this bed is emptied of all the plants, I'm going to take the soil out and I'm going to put it over in this bed temporarily. Half this bed is not being used. I'll build my Birdies bed, put the Birdies bed here to replace this, and this wood can either be used as a filling in the Birdies bed, or I can burn it and then spread the ash in the rose garden. And this is just cedar. This bed right here, it's just made out of cedar. But again, it's cracking. It was meant to be a temporary bed, and no, it's being replaced a little sooner than I'd like, but I'd rather have the Birdies bed in here. So that's going to do it for me and Piper here. I'm going to catch you on the next one. Bye-bye. Good girl, Piper. Good girl.